Kathy. I'm a walking drunk, recovering. I was going to have a word of prayer to ask God to give me the words to say. Usually I'm not it. I talk good, okay? I talk a lot. So I don't think I'll have any problem with that. I will tell you, one drink is too many, and a thousand is never enough. Spoken from an alcoholic. Excuse me? Go ahead. Okay. I come from a family of good parents. I was raised Catholic. I was a Sunday school teacher. I was blessed with the ability to play guitar. I played 12-string, wrote Christian music, sang for all the weddings in town. So I was a good girl. Okay. And then it kind of went sour. When I was 15, I was in color guard and swing choir and all that good stuff. And I was fighting with my mom one day, and I'll get to the rest of it. I didn't want to go to church. I was starting to get poopy, okay? Would be the best word. I was 15 years old, and we were fighting, and I went up. I come from Onalaska, Wisconsin, and our school had a park next to it. So I went to Woolworth, back then when we still had Woolworth, and stole a bottle of wine, Christian Brothers LaSalle Rosé, I'll never forget it. And I went up to the park, and I started drinking. The first time I ever drank, it was brandy, and I was watching my little cousins. I think I was in 6th or 7th grade, and I got drunk, and my sister hid it from my parents. We always had a cottage, and my parents were staying at the cottage. So my point in saying that was I come from a normal family. My dad was alcoholic, never saw him drunk, never got beaten, never got molested, never got caught doing anything really wrong until this one day. So I was up in the park, and this young man came up to me, and he said, "What are you doing?" And I started complaining like a 15-year-old would. "I don't want to go to church. I'm not going to do that." "Where'd you get the wine?" And I said, "I stole it." And he goes, "Do you smoke pot?" And I said, "Nope." He said, "Well, I have some. Do you want to try it?" And I said, "Sure." And he goes, "Well, if you steal me a bottle of wine, we'll go and get the pot." Now, I've never been a drug person. So we stole the bottle of wine, and we went, and he got his pot. And we went back up to the church, or to the park, and I smoked some of that pot. And we were sitting there, and the football players were practicing in the field. It was the day before school started. Now, I'm this good kid up to this point. Went to church, got confirmed. We didn't have wine at my confirmation, but I was confirmed. I did all the right stuff. And again, picture in your mind, the football players are in the field, and we're in the park, and the only thing between us is bleachers. And I said, "Man, we got school tomorrow." And he said, "You know what? We should burn it down." And I said, "Okay." So we took our bottles of wine, and we broke into the school. There was an old junior high called Onalaska Hilltoppers. And that was the old building, and there was a big new high school down the hill. So we marched our happy beings up to the old high school, and we broke in. And I had no remorse at the time, because I was drunk. And so I'm a good girl, and we broke in. We immediately went to the office, and I'm not going to tell you all the details, I will tell you the worst part. We went into the office, and we burned all the records, so we were heroes. Because back then we didn't have computers. I was born in 1960. I'm 59 years old, so you can kind of do the math. We didn't have computers, so we thought, we're going to help everybody. So we burnt all the records, and we went into the library. It was an old library, and put the books up on a pile and started the books on fire. The worst thing in it, I'll come back to that. After that, we marched down to the new high school, and the football players were still in the field. It was a Sunday afternoon. And we broke in there, and we went in the science lab. Do you remember Bunsen burners in your science lab? We lit all those on fire. And fire was everywhere. We went to the office and burned all the records. The worst part of that, because I always had a conscience, which I hated because things would bother me. And just kind of telling you a little bit, I went to the priest one time and I said, "Everything bothers me. I feel guilty about everything." And he said, "Because you're blessed." And I said, "That's not a blessing, because everything I did I feel bad about, because it was beaten into me." I thought, geez, I don't like this conscience. So the worst thing about all of that was there was pictures of all the old graduating classes. And in the old buildings, there was steps going downstairs, and then there was steps upstairs on each side of it. And we took those old pictures and smashed them. And I remember standing there looking at these pictures that couldn't be replaced and breaking them. And all of that, that's the worst thing that I did, because it just ate at my conscience. I could let the rest go, but obviously I couldn't, because I ended up in a psychiatric ward. I didn't go to any of my classes that week. And by Thursday, I had alcohol poisoning. They rushed me to the hospital. I had my stomach pumped, and I was in this, I call it the nut house, but so I was there for a week. I was 15 years old. I was a pretty good-looking young kid. In the time I was there, one of the orderlies tried to hit on me, and I was like I am now, kind of boisterous. And I said, "Get away from me!" I mean, I had that problem, but I never let it get to me, because I was raised in a good way, and I said, "Stop it." So I went and tried to tell, and nobody listened to me. I was 15 years old, and nobody knew about the school yet, and it was really bothering me. You know, it was bugging me. And even then, I prayed, and I felt bad, and it was eating me alive. So but I didn't want to be a narc. Remember those words? I didn't want to tell on anybody. So I talked to one of the orderlies, and I told him, I said, "I can't do this. This is killing me." So we devised a plan that he would leak it, because nobody suspected me. I mean, I was an A student and went to church all the time. Although I did skip Wednesday night catechism, we'd get the bulletin, and say, "Yeah, I went." But so I told the orderly, and he let it leak to the police, and they came and did a lie detector test, and I failed it. And so I never got the reputation of telling. Well, from there, my mom came into court, and she begged the judge. She said, "Kathy will die if you send her to a girls' jail, I guess." Because I'd never gotten in trouble before. So I went into a Christian foster home. Very Christian. They had taken in babies of drug parents, and they went to Church of Christ in Alaska, and my aunt knew them. And my mom begged the judge, "Can you please let her go to this foster home?" And they let me. So here I am, a Catholic girl that had gotten in some trouble, and the first thing I asked them, I didn't even smoke. I never have, and the thing that came out of my mouth was, "Can I smoke here?" I was totally lost. I remember I had a gauze shirt that was really popular back then, and I had washed it. My biggest thing was, I need to hang this on the line, and can I smoke? I was totally out of my element, just within 2 months. That was when school started. Within 2 months, I became a born-again Christian. It changed my life. My dad went on strike, so I came to my home. We weren't huggers. We were staunch Catholics. And I had learned in that foster home, I had been there about a year and a half. My dad had went on strike, and we moved to Port Edwards. And I came home with a very prayerful spirit, and I started hugging my family. Have you ever had anybody hug you like this? like on the back when I hugged my dad, he was like, "Ugh." My mom and dad have been married 62 years. I'm very proud to say. They were good parents. So my parents always told me I was the one that brought the love into the family, the physical hugging, and, it changed the family. So as time went on, I was in the church, and I had gotten a guitar group for St. Alex's in Port Edwards. Father Hagenbarth was the priest at the time. And I dated my high school sweetheart, and I got pregnant. So Christians can get pregnant too. And Christians can drink alcohol. So I was very embarrassed. I got married secretly, and we had a little trailer in Nakusa. Nobody knew I was married. I was very thin, so nobody knew I was pregnant. I hid it. I opened the mall. I opened a boutique and a Pants and Pants. It was right outside of the big department store that was there. And I was 6 months pregnant. Nobody knew it. I used to sew wedding dresses, so I had a lot of talent. And I sewed dresses that would hide me. So I was about 6 months pregnant, and I said, I want to go to Rick's. That was the guy, my high school sweetheart, that I was married to. And as I was getting out of the car, I said, "Oh, by the way, I'm pregnant, bye." Bam, and shut the door. And ran into the mobile home. So that didn't turn out too well. And I continued in the church and didn't drink at all. And I met a man, now I'm getting a little personal, and we were engaged. And he was someone from town here that I won't say the name. And I went through a really hard time with him. I was a Christian and really struggling. I got pregnant again. I went on and had the baby removed, which I'm not proud of. But it damaged the relationship. And I'm still Christian, and I'm trying to think, what is going on here? How do I mend this? What do I do? So I ran away. I met a man from California. He was a ball player. Remember when the twins were here? I ran. He said, "You want to get married?" I said, "When? What time?" And I ran. And I was gone 32 years. I started drinking again when I was 32. And my life, you know those mixers that you mix with and they're spiral, okay? And that's my life. If you turn that upside down, my life was this big and it kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller. That's what I can put it with. And I went into a depression that is unimaginable. And this might bring tears. I tried to kill myself. I was to the end. I thought, I've been a Christian, I've been a Catholic, I've been pregnant twice. Who's going to love me now? I gave up on God. I gave up. And I have here, I was running, always running, my whole life. I've always been kind of bullheaded, and I'm not going to do that. I won't debate with you. I'll just do it my way. Okay? I'm not a fighter. Pastor Milt knows this. I've made some bad decisions. But you'll never know that I don't agree with you. I'll say, And then I had a teacher. I'm a nurse, a past nurse. And I had this teacher. She was about 80. Just the sweetest lady. And she took in foster kids. And when somebody did something wrong in the class, come in late or something, she'd say, "Yeah, you have to leave now." And that was kind of like me if somebody wanted to fight. Yeah, okay, you can go now. And I'd go do my own thing. And look where it got me. So I came to the conclusion everything has a reason. It's still a conundrum to me to think God knows what we're going to do. He knows everything. So why am I doing this? It's like if he knows the direction I'm going to, and people say, you have free will. Well, if he already knows what my decision's going to be, I don't get it, you know. And finally, I'm at a point in my life where I don't have to get it. You know, it's not for me to get. And only of late, like the last year, has this resonated in me. Like, I don't have to know. And there's always going to be people that don't like me, and that's okay. But all I can do is try my best. You know, you got to love one another. That's super important. And I remembered that. So I was super nice. Now, having told you what I told you, I always go to the deep side, okay? So I thought being nice to everybody, got to be nice. Got to love everybody. So I did anything that people wanted. I gave them my family tent one time when a guy didn't have anywhere to live. Here, take my family tent. That wasn't the best thing to do. So I live in a sober house now. And I get praise for I don't drink. And I try to do the best I can, but my mentor said today, sometimes, Kathy, you make bad decisions. No. Really? I want to read you something. This is Daily Reflections. It's a book that we go through in AA. And keeping in mind, I always go the extra mile, whether it's bad or good, okay? So this, I think some of you have heard it. It's the prayer of St. Francis. I have to get to it. 334. And I've always prided myself on being nice. Because it says right in here, Lord, make me a channel for thy peace. That where there's hatred, that I may bring love. That where there's wrong, that I may bring the spirit of forgiveness. That where there's discord, I may bring harmony. That where there's error, I may bring truth. That where there's doubt, I may bring faith. That where there's despair, I bring hope. That where there are shadows, I may bring light. That where there's sadness, that I may bring joy. Lord, grant that I may seek rather than to comfort, than to be comforted, to understand rather than to be understood, to love rather than be loved. For it is by self-forgetting that one finds, and it is by forgiving that one is forgiven, and it is by dying that one awakens to eternal life. I even twisted that. I thought I had to love everybody, and I forgot about me. And I've come to that realization now that if I don't take care of me, If I don't love me, when God said that, he meant love yourself too.
That's right.
And it hated me. And I didn't even know it. So how can I be of service to anyone else if I don't like me? And only in the last year I've come to the conclusion, love your neighbor as yourself. Well, if you hate yourself, how are you going to love your neighbor?
That's right.
You know, and I never got that before. I was so busy trying to be the light, trying to be love, and I was doing it all wrong, you know? I didn't have anything to offer, but I kept trying. And I was confused because it didn't work. I kept getting more and more depressed. It's like, Lord, what was happening? I still feel like poop.
You were used.
It just never worked for me. In the big book on page 85, now this is the book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't know if any of you have seen it. But this is my big book, and I have all kinds of sayings in here. I have my coins I went through 3 rehabs. I'm not only bullheaded, I'm stubborn, self-willed, self-deceitful. Anyway, for somebody as smart, people have always told me you're really smart. I'm kind of dumb when it comes to certain things. Thy will be done on page 85 in the big book. It talks about, it is easy to let up on the spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. We are headed for trouble if we do, for alcohol is a subtle foe. We are not cured of alcoholism. What we really have is a daily reprieve, contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will be done, not mine. And I realized I've been doing my will all this time in the name of Lord. Kathy's will. I never sat back to say, Lord, what do you want? I was always too busy saying, I want. So here I am, and only in the last year, about 4 months ago, I spiraled again out of control. I found Baker Street Church. I was taking my dog for a walk. And I thought, well, that looks good, because I was kind of in between. I sang for weddings a lot, so I went to a lot of different churches. And I thought, I'm going to go in there. And there was this little guy. And I liked the church, and I liked what he had to say. So I was going there, but I was still eroding. And on that point, I have written here, I had a lot of resentment for people I've helped that didn't help me when I wanted it. Okay, I'm given, but you better give me back what I want. So I had a lot of resentment and a lot of anger. And I learned this. Anger is like mixing up a poison to give to somebody else and then drinking it. Yeah. And that's what I was doing. And as much as God wanted me to let him in, I didn't. I was too angry. And the other thing I learned, resentment. So I have all this anger and resentment. And my body is a container. And it was eroding away. If you put acid in a container, it's going to erode away. There's not going to be anything left. And that was me. Nothing left. I didn't have anything to give. So about 4 or 5 months ago, I had been renting a room, and I was down. I wasn't working, and I wasn't doing my prayers, and I went to jail. That gentleman that I lost a baby with had asked me after I was in California 32 years. And I moved back home, and he wanted to go out with me, and I said, I don't date married people. So I got drunk and called his wife. That's wrong. That's resentment and anger. I ended up in 65 days in jail for phone harassment. So I really showed him, didn't I? I hurt his wife, I hurt him. I didn't tell his kids, but I damaged in the name of goodness. I've done a lot of damage in the name of goodness. So I got out of jail, and I had already rented the room, and I had met this woman in jail, and I thought, I'm going to get back on the right track. Now, the key phrase there is, met this woman in jail. Go with me on this. So I thought I was going to move into her house, and I believe she was an active drug user. Of course, I don't do drugs, and I'm not an alcoholic. Okay, so I was in her house, and it was filthy, and I started just going down that mixer backwards. I tried to cut my wrist again. I could hear him tell me, it's not your time. It was up in the door jamb and it was rusty and I couldn't cut my wrist. I tried. But that's when it really resonated. You ain't going anywhere. And you ain't coming to heaven. Because I was saying, Lord, I want to come to heaven. I'm done. I tried this my whole life and it's not working. What is wrong with me? So I thought I'm coming to heaven. And God said, no, you're not. You're not done. You are not done. So I went back to the church and I decided I got something to give. But only if I start caring about myself. Really caring about myself. Not just saying I care about myself. But in my actions. And in the last 4 months, I've had people bless me and say that I'm a blessing. And that is the greatest gift that I've ever felt. Been given to me because I'm giving back. And sometimes I don't want to. But keeping in mind that it's not me trying to be a nice person. Because I tried that and it doesn't work. It's God speaking through me. Do the right thing. What would I do if the Lord was standing next to me? And that means alone or in front of anybody, or when I'm mad or resentful or angry. What would God do? What would he do? And it's kept me, and I have people in my life, Pastor Lonnie, Pastor Mill. When I was in Norwood for a month, he came to see me twice. I never had that before. I was in California 32 years, raising my kids, and never did I have a friend, because I chose not to. I blocked everybody out, I thought. That way I don't have to send postcards, Christmas gifts. I'm done. So I had it all sealed up in a pretty package. I was done. And in closing, what I want to say is, I didn't come from a bad background. I had all that, we weren't rich, but I had all the amenities of somebody that should have made it. And number one, resentment and anger will kill you. And not letting God in. He's there. He's on the other side of the wall. All you got to do is either crawl over it or break it down. He's waiting. And only in the last 4 or 5 months has my life really turned around. And I was never a Skid Row drunk. But my skull was so thick that in the name of righteousness, I was floundering. So you got to let people in and the Lord in. And the Lord shines through in people. And I don't think I realized that. We're blessed by people that care about us. So, if you have any questions, feel free.